Secrets Unwrapped is brought to you in part by Cooler Guard, the cleaning power of enzymes. Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped hot sauce, New England's #1 craft-made hot sauce. The Outdoor Experience Guide Service, serving southern Wisconsin for over 20 years. Hoffman Lures, P-Line, Corker Boots. White Rocks Design Studio, the official design company for Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped TV show. Okuma Fishing, Mercer Sport, Targets Unlimited, and a proud member of the Southwestern Chamber of Commerce. Welcome in to Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped. I'm your host, Chris Bates, and boy, what a show we have today for you. We are spending some time in Maine, and I cannot wait to have you sit back and enjoy our trip. Welcome back to Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped. I'm your host, Chris Bates, and boy, what a time I am having in Rockport, Maine. We're up here doing some filming, and I stopped by this really cool outdoor store called Maine Sports Outfitters. And today we have Stephen Hand here. Thank you so much for stopping by and talking to me about this.
Yeah, definitely.
What is your position here?
So I'm the Outdoor Programs Director at Maine Sport Outfitters. So I manage all of the rentals, all of the tours, basically all of the outdoor adventure side of the business. And then we have the 40,000 square foot retail side.
Right, which we would just walk through.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. So, all right, let's go back to what you do, right? So what is it exactly? So I'm thumbing through an outdoor magazine or I'm doing something and I go, oh, what is this? I get in my car, I drive down to the store here, and I say, I want to. What is that?
Yeah, so I'd say rentals are a big part of our business. We do kayak rentals, so we have lake singles, lake tandems, we have sea singles, sea tandems, we have paddle boards, we have canoes, and that's just in the boat world.
Wow.
And then on bikes, we have e-bikes, we have hybrid bikes, we have road bikes, mountain bikes, kids bikes, tag along for kids, trailers for kids, and then all of the safety equipment that would go along with any of that.
So do you put these programs together for people? Is that what you do? So I want to go on a kayak trip.
Yep, so we have options of basically whether people want to go on a rental and do it themselves on their own time.
Okay.
And we'll give them like recommended places to put in, places to go on the paddle, give them any safety concerns and then any safety equipment with that. And then we do have the option of most of those areas. We have our Camden Harbor Tour, we have our Harbor to Harbor Tour, we have a Muscle Ridge Tour. Those are just sea kayaking tours. We have a couple lake tours via kayaks, canoes, or paddle boards. So people have the option of if they want to do it themselves, and then we, with foam blocks and straps, will load the equipment on their vehicles and they can go do it themselves. Or we have the guided option, which is basically a fully catered. We shuttle you in one of our vans. We provide all of the safety equipment, all of the boats, and then you get a registered Maine guide to paddle with you, give you any like paddle school at the beginning, instruction, safety, and then they're with you, guiding you on the whole trip, giving you local knowledge, pointing out the cool things.
Oh, come on.
All the fun stuff.
All right, so
let's talk about one of those tours.
Yeah.
All right. I want to go on one of those tours you just talked about. Which one am I going on?
So our most popular is our Camden Harbor tour.
Let's talk about it.
So that's a 2-hour tour. So we have a kiosk right in downtown Camden off of Bayview Street.
Okay.
So that we have a dock space down there, and then we have our little kiosk. So people will meet down there. We run trips 3 times a day at 10, 1, or 4. Different times of the year, those get jumbled around a little bit, but generally, like in the heat of the summer, 10, 1, and 4, we can take up to 12 people per one guide. We can make stuff work for others, but the average group is probably 4 to 8 people.
Okay.
And then we have all the boats, all the gear down there. You basically meet your guide at the kiosk. He'll ask if anybody needs to go to the bathroom or anything.
Yeah.
And then you go down to the dock. He does a little paddle school, gets everybody geared up. We get skirts, life jackets, paddles, talks about like the 5 basic strokes that you'll use on the trip.
Okay.
Gets everybody in the boats, sized to the foot pegs, and then goes over the final safety talk, talking about wet exits, what to do if you get lost, and then how the trip's going to run. And then we have a ramp off the dock that we slide people off into the water.
Wow.
And then your guide will lead you out of the harbor. We go out towards Osier Point,
Yeah.
and then we cross from Osier to Curtis Island. You paddle out around the lighthouse. They'll give you kind of a talk about Curtis Island Lighthouse and its historical features and stuff. And then we point out all the islands out in the bay. If you're lucky, you'll see seals, porpoises, maybe a sunfish. And then you get to look out at all of the schooners, the sailboats and everything sailing by. You wrap around the island, and then you have a super picturesque view of the Camden Hills, so Mount McGonagall and Mount Batty. I have a tattoo on my arm
Nice.
for those 2 mountains.
Nice.
And then we usually hold up there, give people a brief description of how we're going to paddle across the channel, and then we'll paddle across the channel to Northeast Point. Over there, we point out an osprey nest in one of the day markers, and then we paddle to Northeast Point, where there's a giant eagle's nest in the point.
That's so
just
cool.
to give people the kind of the comparison of how the size difference.
Is this something that people that have limited ability can do? You have to be able to at least paddle.
So we take a lot of people that have never been in boats before.
Oh,
on this
that's
trip.
even better yet.
Yeah, so we've had like super advanced paddlers, but it's really geared toward getting anybody out and enjoying it.
So our show is seen by quite a few people in the Midwest,
Yep.
and I believe that people from the Midwest need to come out to the New England area, because you know, when I
Definitely.
first came out here, I was like, wow, this is really overwhelming. And I was a total Midwesterner, right? I was like, Minnesota and UP of Michigan, and there's nothing better. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I came out here and I was like, yeah, it's no comparison.
Yeah.
So what does something like this cost?
So it's $60 per person for adults and $50
For 2 hours?
Yep.
That's it?
2-hour tour with a guide.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, and then if you wanted to do the rental version, so I believe it's 65 for 24 hours per single, or 75 for 24 hours with a tandem.
Wow.
And that's for life jackets, paddles, the foam blocks and straps for transportation, and then we'll give you our recommendations on where to put in, where to paddle, all of that.
So how do people find you?
So we're on like Facebook, Instagram, all of the social media sites.
Okay.
But then,
What's your phone number?
Mine?
No.
The store is 207-236-8797.
All right. We'll be right back with more right after this.
42, 39, 56, you can say she's got it all.
We're going to let this bad boy go, but wow, look at that fish.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Wow.
The outdoor tip of the week is brought to you by Targets Unlimited.
Hi, Dale Helgeson here with your outdoor tip of the week. Today we're going to talk about crawler harness, one in particular. This is by Walleye Nation Creations, and it's called the Death Harness. And what it does is, not only do you have your spinner blade, You have a treble hook with a swivel, and it has a death hook on it. So I'm going to show you how to hook this up, because death hooks are a little different, and this death harness is a little different yet. So I usually leave a little tag end of the crawler, and I thread it onto the death hook. So you thread the death hook until it's almost all the way up to the top, and I pop it through the hook just a touch. And you want this to be at about a 90-degree angle, because this thing you want to rotate in the water. And then you take the treble hook and you just pop it through the top of that crawler. So you can either run a whole crawler, or if you have really long crawlers, you may want to, or if you get a lot of short bites, you're going to want to pinch a little bit off the end of this, so you don't get those short bites and you get them on the hook. When this thing runs in the water, this crawler will actually rotate too. It'll corkscrew in the water as well as your spinner blade spinning. So, and that is your outdoor
I'm Erica Tanner, and you're watching Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped on Comcast Cable 1075.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped. I'm your host, Chris Bates, and boy, we are here in sunny Owl's Head, Maine today, and you know, we're driving around and we're like, when can we go get something for this show? And we stopped by and we seen this Owl's Head Lobster Company, and I was like, we gotta stop. Let's see what's gonna happen here. And lo and behold, we found Alex. Alex, thank you so much for helping us out here today with the lobsters. And you know, I love lobsters. I love to look at them, I love to film them, I love to eat them, I love to do everything about them, right? But this place, tell us a little bit about what the Owl's Head Lobster Company is.
Well, we are kind of like a middleman. We have about 35 boats or so that come in and sell us lobsters. We sell them bait and fuel, and they sell their catch each day, and then we have one person that buys them all, and they go into, he has a tank facility, because lobsters, when they come out of the water here, they need to go into chilled, like 32-degree water.
Nice.
Because then it calms them down. They can be transported after, but they will just stress out if they go from warm water and then get shipped, so they won't make it.
So tell us a little bit about how this came about. How did the Owl's Head Lobster Company start? What was the deal? Because it looks pretty impressive to me. I for somebody who doesn't know too much about this, it looks pretty impressive. So how did it start?
Well, my grandfather actually built this place in the 50s. It looked a lot different then, obviously. Right. But we actually have these two fenced-in areas are lobster pounds, which you can't even build a lobster pound in Maine. You can only have one if it's grandfathered in. Lobster pound is where we put them in actually this time of year when they're the most plentiful and the cheapest. We go through them and select perfect two-claw lobsters and set them in loose, and we feed them every night till the water gets too cold. They'll stop eating, and we take them back out in March, April, around Easter when they're hard shell. They can be shipped. They're worth a lot more money.
So it's an underwater fish tank is what it really is?
Basically, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big is it?
They each hold around 50,000 pounds each side.
So 50,000 lobsters? If they're a pound each?
They're like a pound to a pound and a half. We don't put anything bigger than that.
Right.
So, yeah, probably a little bit less. But my grandfather, they used to come out a head in weight, actually. But now all the lobster pounds are having a 15 to 20% shrink. That the lobsters just aren't there anymore, and they can't figure out if it's because fishermen are hauling out of deeper water a lot faster, so they get almost like a human gets the bends.
Yeah.
So they don't die right away, but lobsters eat each other, so they just, it's not like there's all these dead lobsters. They just aren't there when we take them back out.
Oh, I see. Now, how long does it take Do you know how long it takes for a lobster to grow to the size we find at the grocery stores?
Yes. So that's why lobsters, it's too expensive to farm or grow them, because it takes 7 years for a baby to reach a 1 pound, which is like a
7 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Let me ask you something. What is your job here?
Well, I kind of do literally everything.
Right.
I pride myself in being a really good fork truck driver, so I dump the bait, I move pallets of lobsters around, I handle traps, weigh lobsters, throw crates of lobsters, pretty much everything.
Okay, well that's good. Every company needs one of those, right?
Yep.
All right, so we're at a point now where we're going to learn all about the lobster. These particular lobsters are hard shells or soft shells?
These are soft shells. Like 95% of lobsters right now are soft shells.
How can you tell?
They are slimier to the touch.
I see.
They have bright orange underclaws. They're usually less lively.
Got it. Because they molt, right? Yes. They molt. Okay. All right, so the next thing is we're going to find out, how do we know if this is a legal lobster or not?
Okay, so, this is a female, so...
And how can you tell?
Females, you have to... Well, females have smaller claws and wider tails.
Okay.
So I can tell from looking at it, but if you want to really make sure, you flip them over, and they're little, they have delicate feathers here, and the males are more prominent.
Yeah, I see that. Can you get that? Nice.
More delicate.
Yeah, I see that. And they got like these little spurs, is kind of like, I see, yeah. That's cool.
So we would look at the female, look at the tail, and this is the one you want to have a look at. If there was a V in this one, it would be no good.
Got it.
They often take their measure and will just go like this to make the V when they're out there.
Yeah.
That's a pretty easy way to, if it is a breeder and has eggs.
Yep.
They measure them by, there's two sides. One, because this is a select, which is worth more money, the bigger ones. You put it in their eye socket and it comes down their back.
Yeah.
If it's beyond, if this line is beyond here, it's too big and they have to throw it back.
Oh, I see.
See, and this side will tell you if it's legal. If it comes up at past there, it's too small. But you can see that's well legal.
Yeah, no, right. Right. And then they put these on because obviously they...
Yes, because you can't, they kind of have to do it as the day goes, or lobsters will just bite and they'll end up bleeding out. So they use banders and they just pick the, I have dry rotted bands, and then they kind of just twist like that.
How simple is that? Yeah. And then they put them in a
and then they put them in their tank full of water and come in, and they'll put them into their crates. We hoist them up, weigh them into 90-pound crates, and put them on a pallet, and then we put them in the cooler till the truck comes that day.
Wow.
Tides play a big role in lobstering, so full moons, there's not much lobsters because it just affects things. So they never came back on.
I see.
And they're worried about that.
All right, well, before we run out of time, how do people get hold of you here at the Owl's Head Lobster Company?
Well, your best bet is just to come on down. We're not big on answering the phone because there's often telemarketers, but yep, we're the cheapest lobster you can find, really.
Okay. All right, folks, with that, we'll be back with more from Owl's Head, Maine, right after this. Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped in the Kitchen is brought to you in part by Mercer Sport. Hey, welcome in to Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped in the Kitchen, and we are going to make a very simple garlic scape pesto with some very simple ingredients. Welcome back to Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped. I'm your host, Chris Bates, and boy, oh boy, I cannot tell you how much fun that I have had now in Rockport, Maine, Camden, Maine. We went up to Buck Stop or Buck Snort, wherever.
Bucksport.
I'm just having a blast, and today we're going to be talking with Debbie Orloff of Starlight Lodges, where we are staying, and she's been so gracious to put us up. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you're looking for a place, this is the place. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For having us here. And so I got this burning question, right? How in the world did you get started in this?
You know, a lot of people will tell you the first couple of years people laugh at you for doing something, and in the last 5 years they said, how did you do it?
Right.
The first 5 years were real agony, and we're into the latter part of our first decade. I actually was looking for a way to raise some funds for a ministry project.
Oh, there you go.
And it came to me that I maybe needed to go out and do some investing to find that money myself.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, there were these hotels dotting New England, where we are,
Right.
that were obsolete and in decay, and they were mostly mom and pops that people didn't want to run anymore, and their kids moved away. So I thought, well, you know, with the Airbnb and guest houses, how hard could it be to run a small little hotel and make it really cute and make it nice for people? And I wanted something that an everyman or an everywoman could afford, but that would be in-like. So I started looking for properties. I found one or two. We now have 3 hotels, and we rehabbed them and made them yesteryear with a modern twist. And that's how we got started.
So I find it really kind of cool, because when you drive around New England and you see these roadside inns, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, boy, I wonder what those really are like. So here at Starlight, it's the old timing charm on the outside, but you go inside and it's more modern.
We are very artistic. We have here, for example, hundreds of thousands of dollars of sculpture in our sculpture garden.
Yep.
We did that during COVID, when everybody had to go outside and outdoors. We thought, what can we do? The state had shut us down everywhere. Every state had shut us down. And I have an artist friend who did our pavilion that you saw over at the hotel. And I said, Charles Duval, whose work is at the Farnsworth Museum here, I said, let's do something for the people. It's a real rough time.
Yeah.
I said, why don't you take those sculptures you have outside of your studio and just bring them over, and I'll create a garden for you, and we will do an exhibition of your work and invite the public and do it for free. And at least that, while we're all waiting to see what happens.
Yeah.
So we curated a show for his large pieces, and Charles has given lectures at the Louvre, for example. So that's what I mean about blending artsy stuff with cool vibe, but traditional New England. All of our hotels, as you know, are in idyllic vacation land locations.
So I found this very interesting too, is that here in Rockport, you are really centrally located in an area where you can easily reach other places. So if I wanted to go to Rockland, or if I wanted to go to Bar Harbor, or if I wanted to go to Camden, it's all right here, which I find very good for people that are in the outdoors, that want to do other things.
This is an outdoor wonderland.
It is.
This is the mid-coast of Maine on Penobscot Bay, which I'm pointing because right over those trees is the bay. It is a wonderland. It's known as Maine's Vacation Land. Mm-hmm. And you're right, we are central to the whole coast of Maine. People come here to hike, bike, climb the lighthouses. Some of them you can go inside, kayak into the waters here. You can go on excursions from anywhere from the Maine Botanical Garden down in Boothbay Harbor. So it's just a string of harbors all along up to Bar Harbor, where Acadia National Park is. So this is an outdoorsy paradise. And it's always been a traditional place to go for vacations. People love coming here.
Well, I'll tell you, this is the first time I've been up this far north. It's wonderful. I again, the things that I saw here in the last few days that we've been here, it's amazing. It really is. And everything from your staff to your office to everything has just been wonderful. And the location, it's always what I want to come back to. So this property here, you have 2 others, and where are they located?
We have Cape Cod, right near the famous Mayflower Beach. So if you know that area, it's on the north side on what is now a designated America's Scenic Byway, Route 6A. Jackie Kennedy used to drive up and down antiquing. That's what I'm told. Right. We have one in North Conway at the foot of the mountains. We're right in the center of Mount Washington Valley. So a hiker's paradise, a skier's paradise, the #1 ski town in the East Coast of the United States. Those are the 3. And then this hotel runs 3 guest properties that are unique stays up in the Bar Harbor region, because in the summer, 80% of the people who come here are going up to the Acadia. Right. So we have an 1860 captain's house on the harbor in Korea, Maine, on the Scudic Peninsula. We have a downtown Bar Harbor condo that's walking distance to everything in Bar Harbor and the park. And then we have our own private beachfront property that's 3.5 acres, and we put a glamping trailer on it, and that's where people can go and have their own beachfront paradise facing the sunrise, first in the nation.
And before we run out of time, I've seen some campers. Real quickly, what is that?
Again, during COVID, when people wanted unique stays where they weren't near anybody else, we have all outside entrances, which is good for us. Right. But we bought the camper for the beachfront property, so I bought a couple extras to put poolside so the people could do glamping here.
That's awesome. Now, how do people find you guys now? If somebody was looking to set up a time to come stay with you, how do they find you?
We have website, starlightlodgehotels.com. Plug. We have social media, Facebook, and people find us online, booking.com, the booking engines. And it's still a drive-by business in some regards. This is the holiday weekend that you're filming, and you know, we have drop-ins all the time at all 3 hotels.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and thanks for staying with us. This is wonderful.
So, folks, when you're looking for a place, make sure you check out Starlight Lodge. We'll be back with more right after this.
Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped is brought to you in part by Cooler Guard, the cleaning power of enzymes. Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped hot sauce, New England's #1 craft-made hot sauce. The Outdoor Experience Guide Service, serving southern Wisconsin for over 20 years. Hoffman Lures, P-Line, Corker Boots. White Rocks Design Studio, the official design company for Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped TV show. Okuma Fishing, Mercer Sport, Targets Unlimited, and a proud member of the Southwestern Chamber of Commerce.
We'll meet you again. May God bless you. Adios. Wise men say only fools rushing. But I can't help falling in love.